So, hello everybody, and welcome back to Kagyu Dzong, Edinburgh for the continuation of the Songs of Milarepa course, and we're up to part 4, which this time will concern, it's called the Cycle of Samye, cycle like that. She didn't ride a bicycle that I know of. It's a she though, so this is our first time that we'll be looking at a female student. But before that, let's say our lineage prayers. So we'll start with the supplication to the root guru and then the Vajradhara lineage prayer. O glorious, precious root Lama, above my head on a lotus moon seat, you care for me with great kindness. Please bestow the cities of body, speech, and mind. Great Vajradhara Tilo Naro Marpa Mila Dhammalod Kampopa, knower of the 3 times, omniscient Karmapa, holders of the 4 elder and 8 younger lineages, Drikontaklung and the Salpa, glorious Drukpa, and so forth. Masters of the profound path of Mahamudra, to the Dakpo instruction lineage, the peerless protectors of wanderers. Kagyu Lamas, I supplicate you, I uphold your lineage. Grant the blessings of your liberating lives. Just as revulsion is taught to be the legs of meditation, this meditator clings not to food and riches, and has severed the ties to worldly life. Grant your blessings for detachment from honor and gain. Just as devotion is taught to be the head of meditation, this meditator constantly prays to the Lama, who opens the vault of pith instructions. Grant your blessings for uncontrived devotion to Wellforth. Just as non-distraction is taught to be the body of meditation, this meditator simply remains without altering the fresh essence of whatever thought arises. Grant your blessings for parting from the concept of meditation. Just as thought is taught to be in essence Dharmakaya, for this meditator unhindered manifestation dawns. Nothing whatsoever dawning, as whatever may appear. Grant your blessings to realize inseparable samsara nirvana. May I never in future lives part from authentic lamas, and embracing ever the glory of Dharma. May I perfect the qualities of the levels and paths, and thus swiftly attain the state of Vajradhara. So, the cycle of Samye, that's her name. So it concerns the story of one of Milarepa's greatest female students. And, we don't hear so much about them. Of course, there weren't as many as there were male students because of most women's life circumstances. It was difficult for them to be able to devote themselves in that way. But the ones that did, and particularly Samye is really a wonderful example of the student and teacher relationship. And she was quite something. So this part, because it's quite long, we're going to split it into two. So it will be this session and then the next session in July. So it's a detailed discourse on how they met, the meeting of Samye and Milarepa, and the subsequent development of their relationship between master and disciple. And the narrative of the whole cycle is adorned with 6 songs, 3 of which are spoken by Milarepa and 3 by Samye. So this will be the first time we will be studying someone else's songs as part of the interaction between the two of them, because that's how the ideal relationship between master and disciple is one of questions and answers, and it's really mainly the master who will ask questions of the student, not the other way around. So much so then the student has to practice accordingly and work it out for themselves, and then come back to the master. That's how it's done ideally. And so this cycle, it offers a very broad and deep insight into the type of instruction and this student-teacher way of working. So this is really good for us to know how that works. And as I say, it'll be given in 2 sessions, so each containing 3 songs, and the first session being today. So first of all, I'll read the narrative that leads up to their meeting. Namo Guru. The Jetsun Milarepa went begging for alms in the practice of equal taste between the Nyanang Belly Cave and Ngokang. The Nyanang Belly Cave, I know I've actually been to it. It's on the borders between Tibet and Nepal. It's really right on a border, the nearest town is a border town. And when I went on pilgrimage to Tibet, we went back through Nepal. I think I was only the one person that wanted to go to the cave, so I had to go while 6 other people were waiting for me, so I couldn't spend as long as I wanted to. But I can see why it's called the Belly Cave. It's a big cave. It's probably half the size of this room, which is quite big for a cave, and it is rounded in the way that this room is, so you do feel like you're in a belly. So that you could perhaps expect from the name of it. What I didn't expect was to burst into tears when I got in there. It is so full of, I really did not expect that at all. So it wasn't like working up to it. Actually, I was more worried about the people and not taking too long and all of this. And there was a couple of monks there, and I was just overwhelmed. It was the feeling in there was so strong, the Milarepas. It really, wow. Anyway, it's not exactly a digression, is it? It's just a personal recollection of this cave, which was quite an amazing place. So he stayed a few days at Lashing, and then he traveled to Natra. On his way there, he encountered a young lady, 16 years of age, with a dark skin, who had bright yellow hair. That sounds quite unusual for Nepalese Tibetans, but it's not unheard of. And she was wearing beautiful clothes and ornaments. She had been to fetch water when the Jetsun said, "Young lady, please give this yogi today's meal. He was doing his gathering alms. The young lady replied, if we whose doors are by the road gave meals to every beggar that came by, we would never manage. Okay. Then she went to her home. Sorry, Milarepa. Of course, she didn't know who it was, but still, that was her reply. The Jetsun remained there, where he was, and then that evening the young lady had an excellent dream. When she recalled the dream, she thought, we do not generally know when there is a Buddha who is in human form. It is possible that the one called Jetsun Milarepa is a Buddha. If so, then last night's dream is certainly due to his compassion. I will see who he is. So she went to check him out. Then she went carrying one day's food. She took the food with her that she'd prepared, and she served it to the Jetsun. Yogi, where are you from? The Jetsun replied, I'm just one of the beggars in your neighborhood. Are you not the Jetsun Miller who stays at the Nyanang Belly Cave? Yes, that is also so. With faith that overwhelmed everything within her body, every hair on her body stood on end. She prostrated to him and said, you are the one that was in my dream last night. Milarepa asked, what was the dream? I dreamt that the sun and moon were inside of me, but they cast no light. Then another sun and moon dawned in the east, and the light from those lit up the sun and moon within me. The sun and moon went out of my body and then mixed with the light of the sun and moon of the east. With that, I could see the entire universe illuminated. If I follow and attend the Jetsun, will the Dharma dawn for me? The Jetsun said, it is possible that it will. He blessed her with his samadhi and then returned to the Nyanang Belly Cave. Then, not long after, the young lady from before came with a friend. She came into the presence of the Jetsun and requested Dharma teachings. Then, offering a piece of gold, she offered him some gold as a gift as she sang this song of offering. So, the first song that we're going to look at is the song of Samye. She wasn't called Samye at that point, but this young lady. So she sings this song to Milarepa. Emma, great Repa Yogi, great Siddha, now please kindly listen. When I look at my body that was born, I see it is impermanent, like dew on grass. And that makes this girl uneasy. When I look at the friends who accompany me, I see they are impermanent, like the guests at a gathering. That too makes this girl uneasy. When I look at wealth that's been amassed, I see it's impermanent, like the honey of a bee. That too makes this girl uneasy. When I look at the land where I was born, I see it's like the prison of an evil king. That too makes this girl uneasy. In the day, I investigate with intellect, and at night, without sleeping, I ponder and think, by the power of my previously gathered merit, this one time I've attained a human body. Months and years follow at my back, but only days and hours lead on in front. With every moment that passes, my death comes closer. Like a rotting tree trunk, my body is soon to collapse. My breath, like mist, will soon dissolve. When I think of these things, I feel uneasy. With my mind in a tussle, I can never sleep. Lord Father, great Jetsun, at your feet I supplicate. May my mind stay focused on the genuine Dharma. Now, Lord, great Jetsun, please be my refuge. With your kindness, please grant me the sublime Dharma. Thus she sang. So, let's have a look at that in a bit more detail. I mean, if we were going to just sort of summarize it in a couple of words, we would say that it certainly seems to show her understanding of impermanence and her dissatisfaction with worldly life. I mean, that's what I would take from it. But let's go into it in more detail. So, great Siddha, now please kindly listen. When I look at my body that was born, I see it as impermanent, like dew on grass. So remember, she's only 16, and already she's thinking like this. So she's not an ordinary 16-year-old, is she? We can gather from that. And it makes her uneasy. She's seeing it as impermanent. I don't know about you, but that's not the way I was thinking at 16. When I look at the friends, and she had a friend who was with her at the time, when I look at the friends who accompany me, I see they are impermanent, like the guests at a gathering. In other words, a gathering, they come, they go, they come, they go, changing all the time. So she's already worked this out for herself. And it makes her uneasy. She's not at ease about that. When I look at wealth that's been amassed, I see it's impermanent, like the honey of a bee. That too makes this girl uneasy. So it sounds like, if you remember the description of her at the beginning, she's very well dressed, she's got ornaments. By that I imagine they're amber and the traditional Tibetan ornaments in their hair and the jewelry. Usually they're turquoise and amber and coral. And the young women and the older women, they used to wear their wealth, on them as jewelry. So you can see she's from a wealthy family, but she doesn't seem to be that impressed by wealth, does she? She's saying it's too impermanent. It's not going to last. When I look at the land where I was born, I see it's like the prison of an evil king. I mean, those are strong words. Like the prison of an evil king. This too makes this girl uneasy. So, I mean, that's very, very strong, because, okay, you might think, oh, well, there's no point in getting attached to too much wealth or jewelry and stuff. Maybe she would think along. But even to sort of draw back from your homeland, which is, the place usually you feel very attached to, you have a lot of affection for, a lot of love. But not only is she sort of drawing away from it in that, but she's actually saying it's like prison of an evil king. So that seems like a lot of distaste for samsara, for worldly life, isn't it? And very unusual in one so young. And she carries on. In the day, I investigate with intellect. Well, you can see that's what she's doing. She's really giving it some thought. She's not just taking it on, whatever her surroundings are and the way she's been brought up. She's really looking into things. She's really using with her intellect. And at night, she doesn't sleep much. She ponders and thinks. So in the day, she's kind of analyzing things, investigating how things are. And at night, she's not really sleeping much. She's pondering and thinking. It's a type of meditation. An investigative sort of sitting with it. So by the power of my previously gathered merit, this one time I've attained a human body. So she's realized that because of her previous merit, she's had the good fortune to be born as a human and in good circumstances, it sounds like. But she's not taking it for granted. She's saying, this one time. It's not like, I've been born as a human with the kind of assumption that she will go on being born as a human. The assumption is that she may not be, and therefore she better make use of it. I mean, she's really gone into it. Months and years follow at my back. In other words, that's already behind her, only 16 years, but still, months of years have already gone. But only days and hours lead on in front. So she's taking nothing for granted. Just because she's still relatively young, there's no saying that she's not going to die when she's 17. We never know, do we? And in those days, they didn't have medical facilities, so they probably died. Some people would die at a young age. So she's really not taking it for granted. And with every moment that passes, my death comes closer. I mean, that's true, isn't it? That from the minute you're born, you grow up, of course, but you're also that bit closer to whenever your death is going to be, just by the virtue of the fact that you were born. Death has already got its seed. Only days and hours lead on in front. With every moment that passes, my death comes closer. Like a rotting tree trunk, my body is soon to collapse. I mean, goodness me. You don't often hear a young person talk like that. Even me as an old person, I don't particularly like to think of that so much. So, but she's really looking at it, this body is very impermanent. My breath, like mist, will soon dissolve. And when I think of these things, I feel uneasy. With my mind in a tussle, I can't sleep. So these things bother her to such an extent that she find it easy to sleep. She's so disturbed by it. Lord Father, great Jetsun, at your feet I supplicate. She's begging Milarepa. May my mind stay focused on the genuine Dharma. So it sounds like she knows something about the Dharma already, the way she's talking, but she needs to focus her mind on it. Now, Lord Great Jetsun, please be my refuge. With your kindness, please grant me the sublime Dharma. So, in the space of a few days, she's gone from this beggar who she wouldn't even give any food to supplicating him, seeing him as her refuge, and begging him to give her the sublime Dharma. And she offers him some gold, a gold offering. So there's a lot there to go into, I mean, I've explained some of it, but there's a lot you need to go into it line by line. So thus she sang. So now, how does Milarepa respond to that? So, in order to test whether she was able to practice the Dharma devotedly, and to see if she would still practice if drawn towards mundane concerns, the Jetsun said to her, I have no need for your gold. It is not possible for you rich girls to practice the Dharma. Even if you could, it is difficult for you to become self-sufficient through the Dharma. Now, since you're young, your focus is on mundane worldly activity. That worldly activity is strong in you, you're young. So in other words, he pretty much discounted everything she'd just said, told her he didn't want the gold she was offering, and she could have been extremely downhearted. We hadn't finished yet. That wasn't the song. That was just the intro to the song. So now we'll see what he said in his actual song to her. He sang this song of realization in reply to her. Glorious Chakrabartin King near Manakaya, I bow at the feet of Marpa, so kind. Up in the wondrous palace, the divine garden of the heavenly realm of Tushita, are wondrous divine flowers with sweet fragrance and luster. But common bees can never find them. Even if they find them, they cannot draw the nectar. In Jambudvipa, to the south of Mount Meru, is a bathing pool with the 8 good qualities that cleanses all negativities, obscurations, and latent tendencies. Ordinary birds are not able to find it. Even if they find it, they will not stay. To the north of Bodh Gaya are medicinal trees of sandalwood that clear away all bodily illness, but no sick man can ever find them. Even if they are found, they won't know how to use them. In the north, in the land of snows at the border of Nepal and Tibet, there lies a protector of all miserable beings, the self-arisen image of Wati Zangpo. But unfortunate ones can never encounter it. Even if they encounter it, they won't have faith. In this limitless ocean of samsara, of the miserable beings lacking in confidence, they wander throughout the 3 lower realms. Though it's possible they attain the freedom and resources, they cannot consistently accumulate merit. Even if they accumulate some, they are carried by delusion. Though one gains a human birth with the freedoms and resources that is like a shining daytime star, feeling comfort, they travel that path of comfort and don't enter the path of genuine Dharma. Even if they enter the gate of Dharma, those who correctly keep Samye are few. By the kindness of the Father Jetsun, all appearances are made of gold. I have no need for your little treasures. This song, with 5 examples and their meaning, making 6, I have sung for a faithful student. But your faith right now is merely passing, it's transient. And it is difficult for it to become constant and unchanging. Therefore, young girl, it is best that you go. In the future, you can focus one-pointedly on Dharma. Care for your spouse as though he were divine. Care for your children to whom you are karmically indebted. Restore the ruins of the fortress on high. Work vigorously in the fields and cultivate them fully. Care for your livestock, just like your own child. Above, make offerings to the 3 jewels and the Guru. Below, care with kindness for the suffering and poor. In between, have respect for your parents-in-law. Be friendly with the neighbours in your own land. And make supplications to this old man. Aspire to meet the Dharma in the future. I aspire that your life be auspicious and long. Thus he sang. So let's look at that a bit closer. As usual, he starts off by paying his devotion and respect to Marpa. And then he talks about this wondrous palace, this divine garden of the heavenly realm of Tushita. Tushita is a heavenly realm. And these are wondrous flowers with sweet fragrance. But common bees can never find them. And even if they can find them, they cannot draw the nectar. So what's he trying to tell her there? Basically, it sounds to me as if he's saying, look, you've got no chance. I mean, this is so difficult, what you're talking about, what you're attempting to do. It's like being in a heavenly realm. It's very, very difficult to encounter. And even if you do, you won't be able to make use of it. You won't be able to draw the nectar. So rare. In Jambudvipa, to the south of Mount Meru, so Jambudvipa means India, or what we call India now. Mount Meru is Mount Kailash. It's a bathing pool with 8 good qualities. So this refers to the 8 good qualities of water, which is sweet and cool, soft, light, clear, clean. It doesn't harm the throat, and it does help the stomach. So it's got all the good qualities. And it's just to the south of Mount Meru. I've been there as well to Mount Kailash and Lake Manasrovar, which is what I think he's talking about. And I've had the good fortune to bathe in it. So, yes, it's all true. But he says it cleanses all negativities and obscurations and latent tendencies, but ordinary birds are not able to find it. And even if they do find it, they will not stay. So even if you had the good fortune to find this nectar, you could say, with all the good qualities, chances are you're not going to be able to take advantage of it, basically. To the north of Bodh Gaya, the seat where the Buddha attained enlightenment, are medicinal trees of sandalwood that clear away all bodily illness. But no sick man can ever find them. Even if they're found, they won't know how to use them. So even if you should come to this place and find this treasure, this valuable trees of medicine, the Dharma is like medicine. All of these things are kind of symbolic of the Dharma, aren't they? So even if you find this Dharma is like often seen to be like medicine, but you won't know how to use it. In the north, in the land of snows, at the border of Nepal and Tibet, which is pretty much where they are. We already know they're near the Nyanang Prey, which is right on the border. There lies a protector of all miserable beings. The self-arisen image of Wachi-Zangpo. So Wachi-Zangpo is also known as the Jowo of Chirong. It's a famous sandalwood image of Avalokiteshvara, of Chenrezig, in the form of Kasharpana, which is one of the 5 statues brought from Nepal by Akaramatishila at the order of King Songtsen Gampo, so the king that first brought Dharma to Tibet. So this precious statue was brought at his order. And it's a highly venerated image which is said to have spoken several times to the temple keepers and to have given prophecies. So people used to come from all over central Tibet to seek its blessing. It's about the size of a 5-year-old child, and it was saved by Tibetan refugees and is now preserved by His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Dharamsala in India. So maybe it's possible to even see it now. Anyway, that's what he's referring to. The self is an image of Wati Sangpo. Sounds like it's a rock that made itself, it wasn't made by human hand. But unfortunate ones can never encounter it, and even if they do encounter it, no face will arise. In this limitless ocean of samsara are the miserable beings lacking in confidence as they wander throughout the 3 lower realms. So not only the human realm, but the helm realm, the hungry spirit realm, and the human realm. The animal realm. So those are the 3 lower realms, and then the human realm, which is kind of the lowest, sort of the middle realm. And so, though it's possible that they attain the freedom and resources, they cannot consistently accumulate merit. Even if they accumulate some, they are carried by delusion. So he's basically saying to look, you've obviously realized some of this, but just because you've had a few realizations doesn't mean to say you have any constancy. It might a little bit here and there, but you haven't got the staying power. He's really testing her. And it's all true, because that's how it is, isn't it? A lot of people come into contact with the Dharma, they take a bit of this, a bit of that, but they don't really take it to, I should say, we don't really, use it in like Milarepa. Though one gains a human birth with the freedoms and resources that is like a shining daytime star, meaning that it's as rare as a daytime star, feeling comfort, they travel that path of comfort and don't enter the path of genuine Dharma. Even if they enter the gate of Dharma, those who correctly keep Samye are few. So even if they enter the gate of Dharma, chances are they'll break their vows, or they don't keep their commitments. It's inconstant. Most people are like that. Even the ones that have entered the gate of Dharma. By the kindness of the Father Jetsun, which means Marpa, he's realized, he knows that all appearances are made of gold. To him, all appearances are made of gold. So I have no need for your little treasures. She's come with this precious gold. Your little treasures. This song, with the 5 examples that he's just given and their meaning, making 6, I have sung for a faithful student. But your faith right now is merely like a passing fancy. And it's difficult for it to become constant and unchanging. Therefore, young girl, it's best that you go. So you can imagine how she'd be feeling at hearing that. Actually, she'd poured her heart out, and actually everything she said was really spot on. And to have it thrown back in her, well, you might have had the odd thing, but you're never going to go the distance, basically. Really testing her. Therefore, it's best that you go. In the future, you can focus one-pointedly on Dharma. Care for your spouse as though he were divine. I mean, that must have been like a dagger to her heart. Care for your spouse, your husband that you're going to be, that's more your style. You're a young girl, you'll get married. Care for your spouse as if he was a god. Care for your children to whom you're karmically indebted. So it's not even saying you have these lovely children, it's because of karma you'll get these children and that's who you're indebted to. Care for them. Restore the ruins of the fortress on high. So there must have been maybe a a ruined temple or something like that, and he's telling her to do things that a householder would do. They're not bad things to do, they're good things for them, but they want how to live the life of a householder. And if you have some wealth, then restore the fortress, whatever it is. Work vigorously in the fields and cultivate them. You can't say it's bad advice, just work well, Care for your livestock, just like your own child, look after your livestock. Live the life of a farmer or a householder. Do it as well as you can. And above, make offerings to the three jewels of the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. So, you have Dharma in your life. He's not saying you don't have Dharma in your life. And you make offerings to the three jewels above, and then below, the people who are below, meaning like less fortunate. Care with kindness for the suffering and the poor, those who are poor or sick or whatever. Care for them. Be compassionate towards them. And in between, have respect for your parents-in-law, your mother-in-law, your father-in-law. Be friendly with the neighbours in your own land, which, you remember she called it a prison, but anyway, let's be friendly with the neighbours in your own land. And make supplications to this old man. Aspire to meet the Dharma in future. I aspire that your life be auspicious and long. So by saying aspire to meet the Dharma in the future, he's more or less saying, look, in the future, maybe when you're older, or if you're born as a man and you have more opportunity to not have to live the life of a householder and have family, and all of this is probably easier for men, isn't it? And probably still is. But he doesn't necessarily say that, but he aspires that her life is auspicious and long, and the next time she's born might be in even more fortunate circumstances. Thus he sang. You can just, her heart must have dropped. The young lady made prostrations to the Jetsun and said, remembering the faults of samsara, I only wish to practice the Dharma from the core of my being and have no desire at all for this mundane, worldly things. Everything that he just said, the worldly life, is no desire whatsoever. And here is the reason why. And then she offered this song to him. I bow at the feet of the Jetsun who is so kind. Grant your blessings that my wishes may be fulfilled. Lord, great Repa, please kindly listen. These words that I offer you with devotion, you'll know if they're sincere or not. I have such great sadness and despair and pondering over what can be done. I remember impermanence and death from deep within. Since I was born to my mother and up until now, I've seen many die, both old and young. Life is impermanent, like a dewdrop on grass. Days and hours go by unnoticed. There is no place anywhere where death will not come. This I understand. That I will die is completely certain, and once I die, there'll be no control over where I'm born. When I contemplate the sufferings of the lower realms, I'm terrified, thinking I could suffer like that. Contemplating the other modes of samsara, I'll engage in the bad karma of getting married. When doing the work of samsara, you leave your kind parents behind, you are yoked and then taken to an unkind man. It's a foundation laid out near the three lower realms, where the tree of the higher realms and liberation is felled. He carries away your parents' food and wealth, and meaninglessly you work as his slave. This companion who jumps with you into samsara, first, he's a divine prince with a sweet smile. In the middle, he's a demon with an angry black face. In the end, he's a young bull, always ready to beat you. Thinking this, weariness has arisen within. Therefore, this girl will practice sublime Dharma. For companions, I'll stay with Vajra brothers and sisters. Then, as for the corporeal sons you give birth to, very few are endowed with any merit. Though it's possible that a few do have good karma, most are just after karmic debts to be repaid. First, they plunder your body's beauty. In the middle, they plunder the food from your mouth. In the end, they plunder the wealth from your hands. Thinking this, weariness has arisen within. Therefore, this girl will practice sublime Dharma. For a son, I'll take care of the child of awareness. As for temples, guest houses, and so on, very few were built with any real meaning. All these prisons of samsara first bring suffering to your mind. In the middle, they torment your body. In the end, they send you to utter ruin. Thinking this, weariness has arisen within. Therefore, this girl will practice sublime Dharma and will build the castle of fearless meditation. Besides the stream of virtue of the faithful, the forms and teachings of the Tathagata, all field and farm work is meaningless. First, you fight over empty land. In the middle, you fight over getting water. In the end, you fight with other people. Thinking this, weariness has arisen within. Therefore, this girl will practice sublime Dharma. I'll tame the field of my savage mind stream. If you seize the mind with the bodhicitta intention, then it will be possible for merit to come. If not, then through focusing on the gathering of wealth, raising sheep and cattle, you'll have negative karma. First, mere covetousness will be thrown over by strong desire. In the middle, pride and jealousy grow. In the end, it will be a signal for enemies to come. Thinking this, weariness has arisen within. Therefore, this girl will practice sublime Dharma. With compassion, I'll care for cattle and sheep and the 6 classes of beings. Not taking hold of your own faults, you will always see faults in others. How can you ever be harmonious with everyone? Even the Buddha, our omniscient teacher, who is free of the stains of such flaws, was seen to have a heap of faults by unwholesome and non-virtuous ones. Thus you'll never be harmonious with everyone, and will never be able to please them. Thinking this, weariness has arisen within. Therefore, this girl will practice sublime Dharma. Now I'll look at the face of my own mind. For you, an emanation of the Buddha, all appearances have dawned as gold. Even if they do not dawn in this way, there is no existence or non-existence. Since I have abandoned attachment, I must offer my worldly, mundane piece of gold. All the victorious ones have said, abandon those things that generate great attachment. All the Buddhists too have said, if you use illusion like food and wealth towards virtue, they will become meritorious. Thus I have heard with my ears. On that account I offer this gold to you. And having received this sign of my devotion, please kindly teach the sublime Dharma, I pray. Thus she offered this song. Well, she really gave him a good reply, didn't she? She wasn't satisfied with what he said. I mean, she's saying how much she appreciates him, but she lets him know how she really feels. She goes deeper. She's determined. She's really determined. So let's look in detail. It's quite a long song. So in the beginning, she's saying she pays she shows him devotion. She bows at the feet of the Jetsun, who is so kind, in spite of everything that he said to her, which must have really hurt. But grant your blessings that my wishings may be fulfilled. Please listen. These words I offer with devotion, and you'll know if they're sincere or not. Of course, he does know, but he still feels that he has to test her because of the conditions that, okay, you might have this, but you may not last. He still has to, and he really tests her. Mind you, compared to the tests he had to undergo by Marpa, which involved building towers and things, you could say she had it relatively easy. But then again, she's obviously very sincere, and she wouldn't have had perhaps the amount of bad karma that he had to overcome in order to receive the teachings. So it's all relative. So, I have such great sadness and despair and pondering over what can be done. I remember impermanence and death from deep within. And she goes on to describe how, even since she was born to her mother up until now, she's seen many others die, old and young people die. And it's really struck her that life is so impermanent. Days and hours go by unnoticed. We don't even notice it, do we? It just goes, it goes, it goes. There's no place anywhere where death will not come, and this I understand. That I will die is completely certain. And once I die, there'll be no control over where I'm born. So this means that, only now, when she's living, will she have any possibility of influencing her future karma and rebirth. Only while she's alive now, not when she's dead. When I contemplate the sufferings of the lower realms, like the hell realms, the hungry ghost realms, I'm terrified thinking, if I go the wrong path, I could suffer like that. And it really terrifies me. Contemplating the other modes of samsara, even if I'm a human in my my human life right now, she sees getting married as accumulating bad karma. Because it's taking her from the Dharma, or likely to take her from the Dharma. Not 100%, because there are instances where it doesn't, but mostly you become a householder, you're not going to have the same amount of time or determination. And when you're doing the work of samsara, you leave your kind parents behind. I mean, in those days, you probably went to live with your husband's family, possibly, and then you're yoked to some guy, some unkind man, she says. And she sees it, and the way she sees it, it's a foundation laid out near the 3 lower realms. This is the way to go to the lower realms, or the strong possibility, where the tree of the higher realms and liberation is felled. It's like it's cutting off that possibility. And then she describes, like, typical husband. I hope the men in the room are not going to take too much offense about this. But it's the way she sees it. She's seen many examples that this husband will carry away your whatever food and wealth you brought from your parents, I suppose the dowry or whatever, and meaninglessly you end up working as his slave, running around after him. I mean, more often than not, it's probably that way around, isn't it? This companion who jumps with you into samsara, so you're both jumping into this worldly life, basically. And at first, of course, he's a divine prince and probably treats you like a princess, but we know that doesn't last. So he has a sweet smile. Then in the middle, a bit further down the line, he becomes angry with you for the least thing. I mean, you could say that men always also say this about women, so she won't be on her own. But this is the way she sees it, And in the end, he's ready to beat you. And it happens, even now, certainly then. And she's seeing all the defects of worldly life. Or that, there's a strong possibility that will happen if she takes that path. Therefore, this weariness has arisen within, and therefore I want to practice the sublime Dharma. This is what I want. This is the path I want to choose. I have chosen. And for my companions, I'll stay with Vajra brothers and sisters. That means other men and women in the Dharma who are engaged in Dharma. She's not saying necessarily that she'll be all on her own all the time, but, other Dharma brothers and sisters, whether they're monks or nuns or yogis or people who are engaged in the Dharma, who follow the Dharma, and that's their life that they've chosen to live, those who've gone forth. And then as for corporeal sons you give birth to, like your children that you might have, very few are endowed with any merit. Though it's possible that if you do have good karma, mostly they're just after the karmic debts to be repaid. They just want what they can get. So they plunder your body's beauty. I mean, the act of having children usually, does not have a great effect on your body usually. And then they take the food from your mouth, and they take the money from your purse, and they take whatever they can. Thinking this, weariness has arisen within. Therefore, this girl will practice sublime Dharma. For a son, instead of a son, I'll take care of the child of awareness. That's what she's going to nurture, awareness. As for temples, guest houses, and so on, very few were built with any real meaning. All of these prisons of samsara, first they bring suffering to your mind, in the middle they torment your body, in the end they send you to utter ruin. So a lot of, places that are built at Dharma places even, they become kind of, people get attached to them. They have a worldly attitude towards them as well, is what she's saying. You can become worldly about anything, even something that has a good kind of intention. Remember, she's talking to Milarepa, who lives in caves here. We're talking about very, very strict. She wants to go that way, not just the easy way, a Dharma route and gradual. She wants to be like Milarepa. So it's, we would call it an extreme path. Very, she wants it to follow in his footsteps, basically. And this is genuine. She really sees it like that. So even, it's like when Milarepa talks about monasteries and he often is quite disparaging of them because he sees that you can become corrupted even in a monastery, and have a worldly attitude. Saying everybody does, but it can be like that. You can live in a worldly way, even in a monastery or in a temple. Guest houses, and so, first they bring suffering to your mind, you've got to do the upkeep. I can really relate to this passage. In the middle they torment your body, in the end they send you to utter ruin. Thinking this, weariness has arisen within. Therefore, this girl will practice the sublime Dharma and will build the castle of fearless meditation. That's the only castle she needs. She doesn't need a temple, she doesn't need a monastery, she needs the castle of fearless meditation. That's her aim. Like, she's taking Milarepa as her guide here. Beside the stream of virtue of the faithful, the forms and teachings of the Tathagata, all field and farm work is meaningless. So this means that the two lines that refer to the work of making statues and working for the teachings of the Buddha. So beside that kind of work, no other work, such as working in fields or on the farm, has any meaning. It's relatively meaningless. So when you're doing the work of making statues of the Buddha or mandalas or something that you're making in that way with that motivation, other work such as working in fields or on the farm is relatively meaningless. And if you do, first of all, you're fighting with others over empty land. You want that territory, they also want it, you end up in a fight. In the middle, you fight over getting water. Some people, they'll redirect the stream so that they get the water, goes to their land. This is very common. And in the end, you fight with other people. And thinking this, weariness has arisen within. Therefore, this girl will practice sublime Dharma, and I'll tame the field of my savage mind stream. So she doesn't need to cultivate. She doesn't want to cultivate the land. She wants to cultivate her mind stream. She calls it savage. She wants to tame her mind stream. That's the work she wants to do. If you seize the mind with the bodhicitta intention, then it will be possible for merit to come. If you have this in bodhicitta intention, the intention of becoming enlightened for the sake of helping all other beings become enlightened, that's the bodhicitta intention, then it's possible for merit to come. If not, then through focusing on the gathering of wealth, raising sheep and cattle, you'll have negative karma. Which sort of, you could say that, if you have that bodhicitta intention, even if you are raising sheep and cattle, you can have merit from that, if you have the bodhicitta intention. But whether those two things are compatible is it's not easy. If not, through focusing purely on the gathering of wealth, raising sheep and cattle, you'll have negative karma. You'll just be focused on how much you can have and how many you can have and more than the other people. And this is how worldly life is, isn't it? It's never enough. You want more and more and more. And you can become the richest man in the world and still not have enough. You still want more. First, mere covetousness will be thrown over by strong desire. In the middle, pride and jealousy grow. In the end, it will be a signal for enemies to come. So when in this worldly way, first of all, you'll get jealous because you see somebody else has got more than you. Once you're on that worldly path, this is how it is, isn't it? They've got something you want, and so you get jealous about them, and then you develop a strong desire. Then in the middle, even if you get some things, then you get proud and still jealous. And in the end, you get more, and then you get rich, and then that's just inviting enemies, isn't it? Thieves to come and take it. Others get jealous of you and want to take your wealth. So all of it is just a recipe for unhappiness, basically. So thinking this, weariness has arisen within. Therefore, this girl will practice sublime Dharma. With compassion, I'll care for cattle, sheep, and the 6 classes of beings. So in other words, her compassion will be limitless. not about something that she owns. Yes, she will care for all sheep and cattle and all classes of beings. There will be nobody that she doesn't care for with compassion. She doesn't need to own them. Not taking hold of your own faults, you will always see faults in others. If I don't deal with my own faults, I'm always going to be seeing faults in others. How can one ever be harmonious with everyone? Even the Buddha, our omniscient teacher, who is free of the stains of such flaws, was seen to have a heap of faults by unwholesome and non-virtuous ones. So even if you're completely pure, like the Buddha, others can still see you as full of faults because they haven't dealt with their own faults. And this is what happens, you know? I once got quite upset by something somebody said to me, and I phoned Lama Yeshe up and said, oh, you know, I know I'm got faults, but I really feel this was uncalled for. And he said, what are you worried about? Even the Buddha got people criticizing him. And I thought, oh yeah. I'm not saying I'm anything like the Buddha, but you know what I mean? It's like, people are going to see what they're going to see. And sometimes, of course, you have to examine yourself. And they may be right, you know, but sometimes they're not right. But still, they're going to criticize you. And a lot of, you know, people get trolled all the time, and they've not done anything wrong, you know, but people will see through their own mucky windows. Thus, you'll never be harmonious with everyone, and will never be able to please them. Thinking this, weariness has arisen within. Therefore, this girl will practice sublime Dharma. Now I look at the face of my own mind. This is something I can do something about. I check myself. I tame my own mind. Now, for you, Milarepa, who are an emanation of Buddha, all appearances have dawned as gold. You see everything as golden. Everything is perfect because you have these eyes of enlightenment. So there's no fault. There's just, you see everything in that way. And even if they do not dawn in this way, you understand that there is no existence or non-existence. You've already got it. You see things as they are. Since I have abandoned attachment, so at least I'm trying to abandon attachment here, I must offer my worldly, mundane piece of gold. That's what I'm attached to. I'm still in the world. I'm still attached to gold. And so I've got this gold, and that's why I'm offering it to you, because I know that I must abandon attachment to such things. Therefore, I offer this piece of gold. And then to back that up, she says, all the victorious ones have said, all the enlightened beings have said, abandon those things that generate great attachment. They've said that. She's saying, I've got it on very good authority that this is what I should be doing. You know, and then she's saying, all the Buddhas too have said, if you use illusion like food and wealth towards virtue, they will become meritorious. So, okay, food and wealth are illusory. They don't have any real value. But if you use them towards a virtuous, such as offering to a great being, they will through that become meritorious. They will be the cause of merit. Thus I've heard with my ears. On that account, I offer this gold to you. And having received this sign of my devotion, please kindly teach the sublime Dharma, I pray. I mean, she almost can say, I rest my case, I feel like she wants to say something like, okay, so, well, she's really given him something to think about, because she's reasoned it so well and given him all the her understanding, and that's what he's asking of her, basically. That's why he's testing it. He wants to see exactly where she's at, and she's given it in no uncertain terms. Still, with absolute devotion, but she's strong, isn't she? She's like, this is what I really think, this is what I really want to do. And I don't want that, and that's why I've got to even give you the gold, because what else am I going to do? I only have this, and I used to be attached to it, and now you can have that because that's what I've been told by all the great victorious ones, that's the way it can become then a meritorious offering. She didn't even accept it, so she still got it, so she gives it again. Thus, she offered this song. The Jetsun accepted her gold. And then he returned it to her and said, if you will truly practice, even at the risk of your life, then you have entered the gate of Dharma. Therefore, prepare offerings for the Guru and the Idams. So he gave her the gold back and said, use it to buy offerings and prepare for the Guru and for the Idams. And then, with devotion, she made a vast collection of offerings. She got all these offerings together. And then the Jetsun gave her the Upasaka vows from the Sutra tradition, as well as the Abhishekas from the mantra tradition. So that means the vows of the novices, the novice vows from the sutra tradition, and then the empowerments from the secret mantra tradition. And then he gave her the name Sale, which means light. Is light, like luminous, vivid light. Vivid light, strong light, vivid light, radiant light. Taking the instructions to her heart, she was then sent to meditate. And the good qualities of the signs of experience quickly developed. She became capable of meditating and remaining in the mountains. He'd accepted her, given her the empowerment, given her instruction, and said, okay, go to the mountains, meditate. You have my blessing. You have everything you need. See how you get on. So we're going to pause there, and we'll carry on this story in the next session. But I think whilst we still have all this fresh in our mind, let's us follow the way of Milarepa and of Sale. So straighten up your body. If you're sitting on a chair, put them flat on the ground, shoulder width apart. Your feet. You need to have some space between your feet, and come forward on your chair so you're not sitting, not leaning on the back. Okay, and then straighten up. Keep your eyes open. Just rest them, looking downwards, but not really looking at anything in particular. What you're looking at is your mind. Like Sale, that's where we need to look. Nurture the child of awareness. So first let's take 10 breaths, and by that I mean in and out. We take that as one cycle of breath. Breathing in through your nose with a little more awareness than usual, but just normal breath. Down into your lungs, your diaphragm, your belly. So good. deep breaths using your whole body on the in-breath, and as you breathe out, letting go of the stale air, and with it any negativity, any aches and pains, anything you don't need, you let go on the out breath. So one in breath and one out breath, one cycle, and then we'll count 10 more, just under your breath. Don't rush, just take your time. And when you've reached to 10, just let go of the counting. Maintain a good posture of body and of mind. Allow your mind to settle, and as it settles, then it becomes more clear, resting at ease. While cultivating awareness. So you know what's happening. When your mind starts to become distracted, instead of it just going with random thoughts, turn it to the topics we've been discussing, to the story of Samye and her strong wish to become like Milarepa, to take refuge with him, and all the reasons why. And just let your thoughts examine that for yourself, applying it to your own mind, to your own life. So when we're doing this this session, there's not so much time to meditate. So we just have a little taste, and we're just meditating as a sort of overall, whatever comes up from all of the different things that we've been talking about. But when you're practicing at home, you go through it bit by bit, stage by stage, verse by verse, and so that you've got 3 songs there, and they're all quite, especially the last one is quite long. So there's quite a lot of verses there, and so although there's 3, and sometimes the ones that we've done before have been 4, but they've been tended to be a bit shorter. These are really quite long, so you still need a month to go through that. So you need to spend at least a week on. Well, the last one is. Also, it's not just the length. Sometimes things take longer to kind of get to the bottom of them and explore. So it's not only about the length, but if you do roughly one a week, and maybe a bit longer on some than others, however your understanding develops, and then if there are any questions, that you go into them first, try to answer them for yourself. And if you can't, then next month we can talk about it. So you've got the three songs, and the text is also, if you go online, the text is also online, so everything is there for you. So her first song, and then Milarepa's reply, and then her one that we just read, the third one. And so at that point, and she's had the instructions, she's had everything, so she's got what she needs. She hasn't yet gone to the mountains, but she's been practicing with Milarepa or in his vicinity for this time. That's where we leave things, and then we'll see what happens in the next episode of Samye. Oh, it's the first one that we've actually split into 2, but you can see why we never got it all in one. So the next one will be in July. I won't put it online yet. I think it would be towards the end of July. Okay, so let's just dedicate the merit of our practice. And share it with all sentient beings. Oh, by this merit may I obtain omniscience, defeat the enemy wrongdoing, and so free all beings from the ocean of samsara, with its stormy waves of birth, aging, sickness, and death. Okay, so there's a lot to be going on with, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel that getting the point of view of a student, albeit a very competent student to say the least, it really shows you how to go about things, so in relation to Milarepa, to the master, to your teacher. So hopefully it will be a good example for us all. Thank you for coming, and everyone online, thank you for attending also, and see you next time.